Savannah, that means thank you. And as we like to say, twin day, which means let's go. Jambo, my name is Anna, and I will be your safari guide today. I have a couple of safety reminders for you. Please keep all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times and remain seated for the entire safari. That does mean that you cannot stand up, even if you can't see an animal. A lot of the animals have very sensitive hearing, so we want to try to stay as quiet as we can so that we don't hurt their ears or scare them away from the truck. We will begin our adventure in the Little Aturi Forest, where the animals use camouflage such as dark colors or patterns like stripes in order to hide from predators. To your right hand side is an okapi. They do have black and white stripes on their legs, but they are not related to the zebra. They are the closest living relative to the giraffe. They have very similar skull structures, and they both have long prehensile tongues, which means that they use their tongues to grab their food. An okapi's tongue is so long that they're able to lick their own eyeball. They are normally solitary and non-territorial, and they are such a reclusive species that for a time we did think they were extinct simply because we could not find them. To your left, we have a black rhinoceros. They weigh about 3,000 pounds and have a pointed upper lip that helps them grab their food. They are normally solitary, but they are known to gather near watering holes at night. Unfortunately, rhinos have been poached for their horns, which are made out of keratin, which is the same stuff that makes up our hair and fingernails. Due to poaching, there are less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. To your right, we have two different types of antelope. The lighter colored ones here are greater kudu. They are females because only males have horns. Females are social in groups of 3 to 10, while males are solitary. The orange colored antelope is the bongo. Both males and females have horns. Unfortunately, due to deforestation, bongos are critically endangered. To your left, the black and white birds are saddle-billed storks. They get their name from the yellow spot on their bill. They do not tweet or squawk the way that other birds do. Instead, they will rattle their bills in order to communicate with each other. We are headed to the Safi River, where the animals are aquatic, so they spend most or all of their time in and around the water. We want to keep a lookout for bubbles, ripples, or dark spots that indicate an animal below the surface. To the right-hand side of the river are pink-backed pelicans. They will develop a pink spot on their back during the mating season. Males will offer the female a stick, and if she accepts it, it becomes the foundation of their nest. They both take care of the nest as their eggs take about 30 days to hatch. In the river on your left and your right is the Nile hippopotamus. They can be in groups of up to 200 that are called a float. That sound is known as the wheeze hump. Hippos spend most of their time in the water. They are able to hold their breath for up to 8 minutes. And while they do know how to swim, it is much easier for them to sink down to the bottom of the river and walk along it. So sometimes they are hard to spot. They have large teeth that will grow to be 18 inches long. They will mostly use their teeth in self-defense, as they are extremely territorial, but they are herbivores. To your left is the Nile crocodile, which is the largest crocodilian species in all of Africa, reaching 16 feet long. The Nile crocodile has a bite force that is so strong that they are able to break the bones of their prey. But they are pretty gentle when it comes to their offspring, as they will place their eggs into their mouth and roll them around in order to help them hatch. The mother crocodile will carry her young around in her mouth in order to protect them from other predators. We are leaving the Safi River and heading out to the Savannah. We know that we are changing ecosystems because the trees and plants are changing and thinning out to account for the different weather patterns in the different areas. The Savannah has a long dry season that can last about 9 months. So it is a very fragile ecosystem that has a lot of migrating animals. Sometimes those animals will migrate behind trees where we can't see them, and sometimes they migrate to the middle of the road. The Savannah will look the way that it does because of those migrating animals. So large elephants will knock over trees, grazers such as antelope will trim the grass, and tall giraffes will trim the trees. There are 7 different species of giraffes, but we only have the Maasai giraffe here in Animal Kingdom. They are distinguished by the jagged-like appearance of their spots. If you want to see a reticulated giraffe, we have them over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. To your left-hand side, you'll see the painted dog all the way on the left there. They are one of the most efficient predators with a success rate hunting of 90%. They hunt as a pack, taking turns following their prey until the prey drops from exhaustion. They can be in packs of up to 30, led by both a dominant male and a dominant female who make up the primary mating pair of the pack. Unfortunately, due to habitat loss, there are less than 3,000 painted dogs left in the wild. You can buy art made out of painted dog traps in the village of Harambe, and the proceeds from that purchase will go to their conservation. On the hill to your left, you'll see the sable antelope. Both males and females have horns that can reach 5 feet long. They will use those horns to protect themselves from predators that try to jump on their back, sometimes dropping down to their knees to get a better angle. The sable antelope herd can have up to 100 members during the dry season, and they will be led by a dominant male. However, a dominant female will determine all of their migration patterns. That responsibility will get passed down to her daughter. A group of giraffes is called a tower because they tower over the savannah. Adult females are 13 to 16 feet tall, and the adult males are 16 to 20 feet tall. When a giraffe is born, they make about a 6-foot drop into the world because they give birth standing up. They spend most of their time awake, only sleeping for about 30 minutes a day. And because they spend so much time awake, they will spend about 22 hours out of the day eating. And because they use their tongues to grab their food, their tongues are purple instead of pink in order to prevent sunburn. A giraffe's tongue can be 20 inches long. To your right-hand side, we have the wildebeest in the back there, and then the Hartman's Mountain zebra. And then walking out by those wildebeest, you will see also an Ankole cattle. They are also known as Watusi cattle, named after the people that domesticated them. Their horns can be 3 to 4 feet long, and they have a honeycomb-like structure inside, which makes them lighter than they appear, but they still weigh about 15 pounds. Wildebeest get their name from the Afrikaans word that means wild beast. They can be in herds of up to 1.5 million, and those herds are called a confusion. They will participate in the Great Migration, where they migrate about 1,000 miles every single year in search of water. Other antelope and zebras will join in on the Great Migration, but those animals do not migrate nearly as far as the wildebeest do. The Hartman's Mountain Zebra is one of 3 different species of zebras. You can actually see all 3 in Disney. We have 2 of them in the park and 1 over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So the other one is over at Gorilla Falls. Each zebra has a unique stripe pattern, so no 2 are the same, kind of like human fingerprints. Baby zebras will use that unique stripe pattern to identify their mother. A group of zebras is called a dazzle, and they usually consist of an adult male, a couple of adult female, and their offspring.
I have this great book that I read at story time that it has like, the name of it's A Dazzle of Zebras.
There are 2 different species of elephants, the African and the Asian. The African is larger and distinguished by their ears, which they flap to help cool down. They can also use their trunk to pick up dirt, mud, and hay and fling it onto their back. An elephant's trunk has more muscles than the entire human body does, and they are able to hold up to 5 gallons of water. They do not drink through their trunk like a straw. Instead, they will suck the water up and then spray it into their mouth. So you can see all the way in the back there, it looks like he's trying to escape, but he's not actually going to, don't worry. So that elephant back there is a male. He is all by himself. They are typically in herds called a memory, which will consist of a female family and their offspring. So if a female is born into a herd, she will remain in that herd her entire life with her mother and her grandmother. Males will go off on their own when they reach maturity at around 13 to 15 years, but sometimes they will form small bachelor herds. The memory is led by the matriarch, who is the oldest and wisest female of the family. She is so smart that she is able to remember migration routes that the herd hasn't used in years, which is very helpful because elephants have suffered a lot of habitat loss due to the mining of coltan. Coltan is the mineral inside of all smartphones, tablets, laptops, and anything that charges. And that mineral can pretty much last forever. So make sure that whenever your devices decide to stop working, you recycle them. That way we don't mine anymore in the habitats of elephants and gorillas. African elephants had to change their migration patterns to get around mining, and in doing so they came across farmland and ended up trampling crops, which angered the farmers. But we were doing research right here in Disney's Animal Kingdom with the very elephants you see here today, and we discovered that since they have such sensitive skin, they are afraid of bees. So we told the farmers if you line your farm with beehives, the buzzing would scare them off. That protected elephants from angry farmers, and it also protected crops from elephant feet. The farmers were then able to sell the honey that the beehives were making, so it was an all-around win for everyone involved. If you take a look to your right-hand side after this large tree, you'll see some very small antelope laying out there. Those are springbok. They get their name because they are able to spring 6 feet when they are frightened in a jump called the pronk. They are one of the top 10 fastest land mammals, able to reach speeds of 55 miles per hour. At one point, the springbok was critically endangered, but today they are one of the most populated antelopes. That gives us hope for reviving species that are on the brink of extinction. To your left is a flamboyance of greater flamingos. They are the largest and most pale pink of all flamingo species. When they hatch, they are gray, and as they eat their diet of brine shrimp, they become pink. It can take up to 2 years for their color to fully develop, so you can tell which ones are older or younger based just on their coloring. The reason that they do change color is because the brine shrimp they're eating contains beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is the same stuff inside of carrots, where if I ate carrots for every meal of every day, I would turn orange. They eat shrimp, so they turn pink.
She was orange when she was born.
Now, walking in the road in front of us here, we do have an ostrich. The ostrich is the largest bird in the world, and they cannot fly, but they are the fastest two-legged animal, able to reach speeds of 42 miles per hour by running on just two of their toes. They will use their wings to change direction while they run, kind of like how you stick your arms out to pretend to be an airplane. They will also use their wings during the mating season. Males will fan them out during mating dances in order to attract a mate, and he will bow his head to the female. If she likes him, she will bow back. During the mating season, males can be seen fencing with their heads and necks in order to establish dominance. Ostriches do have some pretty large eyes. They will take up 2/3 of the space inside of their skull, which means that their eyes are bigger than their brains. They do have two different eyelids, so they have a normal one that goes up and down like we do, and then they have another one that goes side to side, which is clear. That way they can protect their eyes from any sand that might be blowing around. Because the ostrich is the largest bird in the world, they do have some pretty big eggs. Each of their eggs will weigh about 3 pounds. That is the equivalent of 2 dozen chicken eggs. Those eggs are very strong. They can hold up to 200 pounds without breaking. On the hill to your right, you'll see some white rhinos up there. They get their name not from their color, but from a mistranslation of the Afrikaans word fight. Fight means wide because they have a wide upper lip compared to the black rhino's pointed upper lip. They weigh about 5,000 pounds and they are social in groups called a crash. They can reach charging speeds of 35 miles per hour. To your left is the cheetah, which is the fastest land mammal. They can go 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. Running that fast takes up a lot of energy, so they can only do so for a couple hundred yards. They will use their long tail as a boat-like rudder to change direction while they sprint. They are the only big cat whose claws do not retract, so their claws are out all of the time, and that helps them get a good grip on the ground while they run, kind of like how we wear cleats. A group of cheetahs is called a coalition. To your left is a rock formation known as the kopie. The kopie is home to predators like the lion, and it will help them get a good vantage point over the Savannah so that it's easier for them to find their prey. Lions will spend most of their time sleeping. They sleep 16 to 20 hours a day. They will hunt at night because their eyesight is 6 times better at night than it is during the day. During the day, they can see just about as well as we can. The male lion's mane can weigh up to 40 pounds. It will help protect his throat while he protects the pride because the lioness will initiate 85% of all of their hunts. They hunt as a group because that enables them to take down prey that is bigger and faster than an individual lion is. The biggest threat to lions is habitat loss. It causes increased competition between prides for resources like food and territory, and it also causes lion livestock conflicts. To your left-hand side here, we have the warthog, which is the largest burrowing animal. They are crepuscular, so they're usually active around sunrise and sunset, but they are very intelligent, so they will change their sleeping patterns depending on what predators are in the area. You'll see some more of those white rhinos to your right. Unfortunately, the white rhino has been poached in the same way that the black rhino has, and due to poaching, there are only 2 northern white rhinos left in the world. They are a mother and daughter, so that makes them functionally extinct. So we've been studying the southern white rhino here in Animal Kingdom to learn more about the way that they reproduce. We have been very fortunate to have had 13 southern white rhinos born here in the last 10 years. Our 2 youngest will turn 2 in the fall. We are now coming up to the Warden's Post, where you'll be able to see the Nigerian dwarf goat. They are playful, so they like to climb on top of stuff and headbutt each other. And since they are so small, they don't require a lot of resources in order to take care of them. So they are a good example of how humans and animals can live in harmony. Because as the human population increases, we take up more and more space and become more and more in contact with wildlife. But by taking care of those goats who don't need a lot of space, we can rely on them instead of wildlife for food and a source of income, because they will provide a sweet and nutritious milk that can be made into cheese. If you would like to pet a Nigerian dwarf goat, you can do so over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. There is also the Kuni Kuni pig, who inspired Kua from Moana. Rafiki's has the Conservation Corner, where you can learn more about how the Disney Conservation Fund is protecting animals across the globe. But if you wanted to help an endangered species in North America, you can help out the endangered monarch butterfly by planting milkweed in your garden. It will attract them and give them a safe place to relax and reproduce while they migrate between Mexico and Canada. If you contact the Live Monarch Foundation, they will send you milkweed seeds that are native to your area at little or no cost to you. In return, the butterflies will help pollinate your garden. If you want to see some more African animals, you can check out the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, which will be to the right when you exit the truck. There you can see the colobus monkey, lowland gorilla, meerkats, and naked mole rats. If you head over to Asia, there is the Maharaja Jungle Trek, where you might be able to see a Sumatran tiger, the Komodo dragon, and the flying fox, which is a large type of fruit bat. If I have any wilderness explorers on board, you have been riding on the Simba 1. Simba is the Swahili word for lion, and 1 is the number 1. Once again, my name is Anna. Thank you so much for joining me out there. But here in Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye. That makes us very sad. So instead, I will leave you with the Swahili phrase kwaherini, which means go well. So please go well, go wild, and go make a difference out there.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
It is an okapi. They do have black and white stripes on their legs, but they are not related to the zebra. They are the closest living relative to the giraffe.